Hi Mark, I'm Vivian. I'm number 1. Inside India's Big Fat 38 Billion Wedding Market, Part 1. On the recent trip to India to explore the country's sizable wedding market, BOF editor-in-chief Imran Ahmed spoke to top designers, show organizers, media executives, and former brides to learn why weddings are such a big business in this fast rising country of 1.2 billion people. New Delhi, India. While the rest of the fashion world may have entered its late summer slumber, India's fashion industry is gearing up for its prime time moment, the unfathomably large, opulent, and over-the-top Indian wedding season. Depending on whose numbers you believe, there are somewhere between 1 and 10 million weddings in India each year. Last November, on a particularly auspicious date on the Hindu calendar, a staggering 60,000 weddings took place in New Delhi alone, all in one evening, bringing traffic in the city to a standstill. The non-stop nuptials won't begin in earnest until October, when the monsoon rain have disappeared and the summer heat has melted away, reaching a crescendo in November and December, and then again in the spring. But in preparation for this year's wedding bonanza, Indian designers have already been meeting with would-be brides and their families at luxury bridal fairs and expositions held across the country over the last few weeks. I landed in India just in time to take it in the first of 2 back-to-back fashion weeks in New Delhi, where the country's leading designers show their bridal and couture collections in runway extravaganzas that start with elaborate sets evoking everything from Pompeii at the height of the Roman Empire to mythical Kamisurimhi lotus flowers, and end with showstopper runway appearances by Bollywood's biggest stars. But the designers I spoke to also seem to be charting a long-term course for a wedding market that is showing the early signs of change. After years of heady bridal fever, opulent events. Each year, around 2,000 high-end weddings take place in India. These are multi-day extravaganzas that defy the Western imagination, complete with pyrotechnics, performances by graduating Bollywood actors and international music stars, and thousands upon thousands of invited guests. The India wedding is the Indian wedding. Is the Indian wedding. There is nothing that comes close to it, said superstar fashion designer Rohit Bal over breakfast the day after his bridal show in New Delhi. Where else can you show off your extravagance, your opulence, your wealth? And each year, these weddings seem to become more and more overtop as prominent families aim to outdo each other with even more elaborate events, more exotic destinations, more expensive clothes, and fine jewelry. There was one wedding in particular that seemed to be front of mind for many of the people I spoke to. In June 2011, up to 6,000 guests reportedly attended the wedding reception of the then 21-year-old Malika Reddy, daughter of the prominent Hyderabadi industrialist to Sindrak Reddy, the scion of the Hindu group, an infrastructure and real estate conglomerate held in an arena next to the Rajiv Gandhi International Airport in Hyderabad. A special air taxi service was arranged for VIP guests, including A-list Bollywood stars Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, Priyanka Chopra, and Rani Mukherjee. The 3-day event was followed by a grand wedding reception in New Delhi, attended by Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. For India's ultra-high net worth individuals, it seems no gift is too lavish and no event is too opulent during wedding seasons. Budgets for a high-end Indian wedding can easily reach around 2 million, including the cost of events, travel, food, clothing, and especially jewelry. Each year, in India, there are dozens and dozens of weddings which cost 10 million and more. Several websites reported that the Reddy wedding cost more than 100 crore rupees, or a staggering 60 million at current exchange rates. Finally, much of this is spent in cash. A lot of our clients have got so much undeclared wealth. Where else will they spend it? Asks Mr. Bao. They have to spend it somewhere, and this is only place they can spend it. Undisclosed. Vijay Singh, chairman of India Bridal Fashion Week, concurs. In India, there is a lot of black money, so check writing happens less. Celebrating families' alliance. Historically, big Indian weddings were a result of marriages being more of a transaction than a bond of love, says my friend Senna Levy, a film producer who in March was married to Isabel in a lavish, but by Indian standards, restrained ceremony at the sprawling Umaid Bhavan Palace in Jodhpur. Families choose a partner for their children based on economic and social standing, she says, to celebrate these alliances. Big celebrations were accepted more as a display of wealth and power. Even today, Indian weddings are about more than just the nuptials of the bride and the groom. The Maharajas started this culture. Weddings weren't just about the girl getting married to the boy. It was about one kingdom getting married to another kingdom, adds Mr. Bao. Today, it is one family getting married to another family. It is the amalgamation and merger of two large business homes. Indeed, the now infamous Reddy wedding in Hyderabad was the coming together of two of the city's most prominent industrial families. So, while the golden era of Maharajas may have ended, and many Indians now have so-called love marriages, they continue this tradition of opulent weddings for social competition to enhance social standing in the public show of force. It's this constant class struggle, said designer Sabyasachi Mukherjee, who dressed Miss Levy for her wedding reception and is one of the biggest players in the Indian wedding market. There is royalty. Then there is old money. Then there is new money trying to look like old money. then there's new money, then there's new money, and very new money. Then there's upper middle class and middle class, and everyone wants to move upwards. The world's biggest bridal market. According to Alex Kadruvilla, president of Condé Nast India, the average Indian spends a staggering 1/5 of the health accumulated in his lifetime on a son or daughter's wedding, second only to investment made in the family home. Combine this long-standing tradition with the desire for upward social mobility and a rapidly developing economy with hundreds of millions of newly affluent consumers entering the market, and you have a wedding business estimated to be worth 38 billion a year, according to figures provided to BOF by Condé Nast India. At current growth rates of 25 to 30% annually, the Indian bride industry will become the largest wedding market anywhere in the world within 2 years, surpassing the American wedding market, estimated to be worth around 50 billion annually. It's not surprising then that local and international players are trying to get in on the action, and the market is slowly becoming more structured. Mr. Singh set up India Bridal Fashion Week in Mumbai in 2010, and in the same year of Control Fashion Week was created under the remit of the Fashion Design Council of India, providing an additional showcase for bridal clothing and jewelry in New Delhi. Up until then, we did not have any platform for showcasing bridal culture in this country, explained Mr. Singh, whose main business in the luxury hospitality sector, organizing between 80 and 90 luxury weddings every year. In the last 5 days, more than 12,000 people have visited our exposition, and we have come to know whose wedding is where, when it will take place. This generates a lot of leads for us to convert into luxury weddings. Earlier this year, Condé Nast got into the action too. Mr. Kuruvilla staged the first ever Vogue wedding show exhibition and published an accompanying Vogue wedding book featuring some of the very top names of across the Indian bridal industry. We believe that Vogue has the ability to connect the most affluent Indian families to the best brands in the bridal space, he said, calling it one of the vulnerable fashion media brands' most innovative brand intentions, a gold rush and culture level pricing. The single biggest part of Indian wedding industry is the buying and selling of gold jewelry. India is the biggest consumer of gold in the world and jewelry, and according to Vivian Sharma, the World Gold Council's director of jewelry for the Indian market, about 50% of India's gold demand can be attributed to weddings, which means more than 400 tons of gold is exchanged at wedding in India each year, making it the single largest component of India wedding market, worth around 25 billion a year, about 60% of the total wedding market. Gold is a natural hedge against inflation. It is a luxury product. It is an expression of self in terms of what a bride wants to express as her own identity. And it also has a religious connotation to it and is auspicious, explained Mr. Sharma. But above all, it is a store of wealth. It's a wealth that gets accumulated during weddings, passed down from generation to generation. The sheer scale of gold jewelry at Indian weddings boggles the mind. The bride's jewelry at an average high-end wedding in India will have pieces which are 10,000 to 40,000 each, with an overall budget of about 200,000 spent on jewelry alone. If you go to the weddings of ultra-high net worth individuals, jewelry piece of 500,000 or a million would not be surprising, adds Mr. Sharma. Likewise, the clothing budget alone for a high-end Indian wedding can easily surpass 500,000, which with scores of people to dress from the families of both the bride and the groom for multiple events that can span more than a week. A top and heavily encrusted bridal lehenga alone can cost up to 100,000, putting it in the same league as Hunter control prices in Paris. If you go to the top 50 designers in India and you look at the main contributors of their business, you will find that 60 to 80% of the business is in bridal culture, said Mr. Singh. Tomorrow, in part 2 of Inside India's Big Fat Billion Winning Mark, we examine the top designers that cater to the country's bridal market, the opportunities for international luxury brands, and the forces set to shape the market in the year to come.